And you was in Don't Be a Menace too, another classic.
Ah, Don't Be a Menace. From what I'm hearing, it's one of the greatest hood classics of all time. I've been real fortunate, Art, to be a huge part of this culture, man. I didn't really realize it until I look back and people kind of bring it up to me. They're like, dude, it wasn't like you had the biggest roles in all these TV shows and all these movies and all these moments, Alex, but you've been a part of some iconic stuff. And I had to sit back and go, wow, I guess that is right. Like, there's not too many people on the planet, black, white, whatever you are, that didn't see Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. Not only was that was my first movie that I was in, it was one of the first movies that I wrote on also. So shout out to the whole Wayans family, Keenan Ivory Wayans, who is not only is an icon, he's like a second father to me. They've always called me like the honorary Wayan, because pretty much, literally, and I'm not exaggerating, anything the Wayans brothers did these last 30 years, I was either in it, on it, a part of it, writing, stand up, guest spots. I was just always there, and the whole family employed me. From Sean and Marlon to working with Damon Wayans on. Damon was one of the first superstar comedians that took me out on the road as a young comic in the 90s. You got to understand, I was used to doing, 300-seat comedy clubs. It didn't get any bigger than Damon Wayans at one time. You know what I mean? You could ask Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock and Kevin Hart. You can ask all of them. Damon Wayans was one of the coldest comedians ever. And he was selling out 3,500 seaters, 5,000 seaters in the early 90s. And he brought me, a young Alex Thomas, to go out on the road and do what I do. So again, right place at the right time. And they always looked out for me. So the Wayans family, Don't Be a Menace. It was huge. Started my career, first movie. It was great, man. I can't go anywhere in the world. Somebody not say $5, Buster. They just be throwing out my lines and stuff. So yeah. Me, one thing about me, every TV show, every movie you've ever seen me on, ad-libbing's in my DNA. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's the exact line depending on who I'm bouncing it off. And a lot of times as a comedian, there's not a comedian on the planet that doesn't ad-lib every once in a while because we just feel it. It's what we do. But I want to say $5, Buster. I think that was for me. Yeah, that was me talking mess, being real LA. So,
Did y'all get any backlash when y'all did that movie? Was anybody mad at the parodies?
Not at all, because to be honest with you, in the white world, they had been doing it for years. It just happened to be a couple of movies that were huge, that we all were huge fans of. And back in the day, for the young people, you can Google this: Airplanes, Naked Guns, Leslie Nielsen, History of the World. Back in the day, all those parody type movies, it had never been done in the urban world, in the black world. And we were that young hip hop culture at that time. So you put all of our comedy minds together, again, shout out to Sean and Marlon. It was their thing. And they brought a bunch of young comics that they liked. And they learned from their big brothers, right? So Sean and Marlon's big brothers, as the world knows, Keenan Ivory Wayans, Damon Wayans. So 15, 20 years before us, there was the Black Pack. I don't know if you know about the Black Pack. The Black Pack was Robert Townsend, Eddie Murphy, Paul Mooney, Keenan Ivory Wayans, like those guys, Arsenio Hall. They were the Black Pack. We were them 15, 20 years after them. A bunch of talented young brothers that got along, that were funny, and we had two mentors that were like, yo, we need that fresh, new, funny for this generation. And the Wayans brothers reached out to me, one of my best friends, Daryl Heath, Chris Spencer, Sully McCullough. It was a whole lot of us young cats that it was almost like the equivalent of rappers, or like what Jay-Z did with Rockefeller. And he got a bunch of dope young energy and built that empire, whether it was when he brought on Kanye, when he brought on Dipset, when he brought on Freeway and Beanie Siegel and Memphis Bleak. It was that kind of situation, but we did it in the comedy world. So if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense. What are some of the jokes you wrote in that movie?
Oh my God. There was oh, of course, you remember when we jumped that fool in. His name is Ray. He's in the game. If you don't like it, you got to get out the game. What? Get out the. That's iconic. Put it this way, I did 38 cities doing stand up this year. I throw that in the top of my show every city I go. And if there's black people, you would think that was a platinum song, bro. When I do that, they go crazy. Like they really, it still trips me out to this day that people remember my lines and things that I've said over the years, and it like 30 years later they still remember it, and it's a good feeling because it's like a great song, right? I don't care how many times you hear "Beat It." I don't care if you a thug, if you a gangster, if you hear "Can't Touch This." If you know the words, you remember what you were doing. You remember before you were a gangster, you were doing them dances. You were certain things stick with you forever. I was that same way. How I remember lines that George Jefferson said on the Jeffersons. I remember lines that Roger and Rerun said. I remember lines that, Arnold and Willis said on different shows. So it's crazy now I'm that guy that people come up to me and be like, man, when I used to watch the Jamie Foxx show, or when I watched Players Club, or when I watch, people still remember. So it makes you feel good. I mean, somebody was listening to what you had to say.
You also was in Bounce, underrated movie, man.
That's a hood classic also, Beps. Black women come up to me every city I go to. Sometimes I forget all about Baps. And oh, don't forget about Baps. You was funny as hell in Baps. And they immediately go to my line. Don't stop. Get it, get it. Get it, get it. They instantly. And I thought about it. I was like, damn, I've been real fortunate. I did 2 movies with Halle Berry. Baps and Why the Fools Fall in Love. I think they were like a year or 2 apart. I think we did those movies in like 95, 96, 97. But yeah, shout out to Halle Berry. She is super, super cool. Yeah, man, I've had an amazing journey, bro.
How was it shooting Bounce?
Again, it was great because a lot of people don't remember Robert Townsend directed that. Another one of my comedy idols. And it was fun. It was like every time I was around these dudes, it was literally a learning experience. I was just a student of the game. I was a student of the game back then, and I'm still a student of the game 30 years later. It was like crazy that this guy that I grew up watching, Hollywood Shuffle, some of the funniest stuff of all time. Now I'm working with this guy and he's directing me, and it was great. And then of course, Halle Berry was the baddest chick on the planet at that time. You know what I mean? Being around her, and then she took a liking to me. I was at her laughing. So it was always, one thing I do love about comedy, beautiful women love comedy. They love to laugh. And that's why I never had a problem in that department.